semi-final time in the Rugby World Cup of 2019 in Japan, and the Springboks are taking on Wales in semi-final number 2. Semi-final number 1, New Zealand against England, inconsequential, relatively speaking, but in reality, very consequential. But let's talk about the Springboks and Wales. First of all, big injury news for both teams. For the Welsh, they're going to be missing Liam Williams, their number 15, who's been tearing it up, not just at this tournament, but for many along a year now. Liam Williams has been keeping Lee Halfpenny out the side, and that's a big feat, but Lee Halfpenny's coming in for this match, and that guy's a dead-eye goal kicker, and that might just count in a big way in this match. Let's talk about that later. The rest of the injuries are Navidi, Josh Navidi, number 8 for Wales. He's a dynamic player. He's not taking any further part in this tournament. Liam Williams, by the way, is out for the tournament as well, whether or not they make it to the final. Wales will have another match, that being the 3rd, 4th playoff, and hopefully South Africa have another match, that being the grand final. On the South African front, Cheslin Kolbe is down. He's not necessarily down and out. He may still be available for the final should we make it there, but he has aggravated an ankle injury. In reality, that ankle is clearly injured, and he's been playing through the pain. Which just makes all of his feats that he's achieved at this World Cup all the more glorious. What a player he has been, and hopefully he can make it back for one last match at this World Cup. Replacing Cheslin is Sbu Nkosi. What a player this guy has turned out to be. Still so young, he's got so many rugby years ahead of him. Dynamic, powerful, he's squat, he's strong. He's going to be a serious threat in the air, which is going to be very important against Josh Adams, who has been shining at this World Cup as well. In fact, the Welsh have two strong wings in Josh Adams and George North. George North, of course, one of the most recognizable names in world rugby right now. George North has not had the most stellar of World Cups, but have no doubt that he can impose himself on a game should he so choose. And against South Africa, it might just be the kind of structure that offers something to a wing like that. He's coming up against Makazole Mapimpi, who's been scoring tries for fun at this World Cup. He has been on an upward trajectory for some time now, and Makazole should not stop the momentum at this point. He scored some tries against Japan. Some of the defense in that match, especially for the first try, left a lot to be desired, but he stayed on his feet, he pumped the legs. Now George North might just do the same to him. George North is going to bring heat to Makazole Mapimpi, and I hope that Makazole is ready, because he needs to be. They're going to be hanging up high balls on Mapimpi, on Sbu Nkosi, and especially Valileru as well, who has shown that he has a couple of work-ons to get through, and hopefully he's gotten through those during the week. Obviously, we know he has the class to be taking these high balls, otherwise he would have never have locked down the fullback position for the Springboks in the first place. Valileru is a world-class player, and there's no better time than these next 2 matches to prove that to the South African fans once again and once and for all. Those injuries, especially the ones that the Welsh have suffered, are going to be significant. Liam Williams has been one of the players of the tournament. Now Lee Halfpenny is stepping back into the fray. One start of the tournament thus far against Uruguay. World-class player though. He's not going to have any problems acclimatizing, is he? But he's going to change the dynamic of the Welsh game. Lukhanyo Am's going to have to step up big time as well. Big time against Jonathan Davies in the 13. That's going to be one of the tests of the test. Main players to watch out for from Wales. Alan Wynne-Jones, captain, 142 caps, the 2nd highest capped player in the history of rugby, just behind Richie McCaw, level with Parise. If there's one player to watch out for, that's the man, the captain. He is inspirational. He might even just French kiss George North if they win this match. Who knows? Look out for Jonathan Davies in the outside centre. What a player he is. Hadley Parkes, not the best of inside centres, but he's been a good performer for Wales. On the wings, George North and Josh Adams, 2 of the shining lights in the back line. But the number 9 and 10 connection with Dan Biggar and Gareth Davies, that's the one that really needs to set the alarm bells going for the Springboks, because those 2 players have been playing top level. Gareth Davies made a tackle in the French game which turned the game on its head. And that tackle there on the 5-meter line, which set the ball free, Wales scored, and the game started turning from there. It has been a top performance from Wales. But in the scrum is where South Africa might just have the edge, not just in the starting 8, but in the backup that is coming off the bench as well. 6-2 split, you know how it goes. We let teams know exactly how we're coming for them, and we have the physicality to make sure that most teams can't even live with us. Never mind when we have players like Ergia Snyman, Malcolm Marx, Stephen Kitsoff, Vincent Koch coming off the bench. The loose forwards for Wales, Justin Tipuric is the one that we really need to watch out for. I'm expecting the Boks to bring the heat to the Welsh up front, and I expect that to be the case. Eben Etzebeth alongside Lotte Jager. Those two locks are tremendous. Loort has really stepped up this year and the last few years. He's now captain of the Bulls as well. That's been a massive change to his game, and it has been a massive benefit to the Boks as well. So Loort alongside Eben, that's going to be a bruising combination with Ergier coming off the bench. Behind them, we have Dwayne Vermeulen in the number 8 position, perhaps the most impactful number 8 in world rugby, alongside Billy Vunipola. He brings the weight, he brings the heat, and Dwayne's going to bring the heat all match long, as he always has done. He's always worn the jersey with pride, and it's the kind of player that you could have 15 of him. I mean, it's just wonderful to see the way that he is the leader of the Gears. Captain Courageous Sia Khaleesi on the flank, as well as Peter Steph Toy. They're going to have to be out there monitoring the likes of Moriarty and Justin Tipperick. We're going to have to hunt these guys. They're going to be looking to add that dynamic running. They look to bust lines to capitalize when the defenses are getting slightly sloppy. The likes of Tipperick step up and make that go forward for Wales, after which they start offloading. But the running game is not the one that we really need to worry about. It might just be the kicking from the tee and the kicking out of hand. Bigger, Halfpenny. Halfpenny, if Bigger is not on form, can be kicking these ones. Halfpenny can launch them from the halfway line as well. Long-range goal kicking is back on the table. We don't really have that in our locker besides Frans Steyn, who's sitting on the bench. He is our one backline substitute outside of Herschel Jantjies, who's playing as the scrum-half substitute. So that's if Handre, touch wood, if Handre were to get injured or be unavailable to kick, France might be the only available option to kick instead of him. And if not, then it's going to be Faf de Klerk. Fuffy stepping up to the plate to kick goals in the World Cup semi-final for the Springboks. So we can't really afford injuries in our backline, but that's always the case when you go in with a 6-2 split. And that, in turn, means that you are most likely not going to be passing the ball too often to those backline players that might get injured. Unfortunately, they will be taken to the skies very often because we're going to be defending high balls from Wales all day long, coming out of Dan Bigger, hanging them up for Josh Adams and George North. So I hope that all of our back three are ready to counter-attack, to kick back when needed. It's going to be a riveting game. It's probably not going to be one that you're going to want to watch back on a replay, but the excitement in the moment should be significant. Who knows? Maybe a tri-fest breaks out. Maybe we score a couple, then they have to score. Maybe they score a couple, then we have to score. And most likely scenario, if either of the teams score a couple of tries, the other team is in big trouble. If South Africa get ahead 2-3 tries, Wales don't necessarily have 2-3 tries in their locker in a test match. They can't really change their game that much to chase that kind of scoreline down. It's important to both of these sides that the scoreline stays under control, and as such, it'll probably do just that. But if it were to get out to an early lead to South Africa, I mean, that's where it would be handy to have a player like Cheslin Colby who can just break the thing wide open. But then Sbu Nkosi can do just the same. He has vicious feet, and Sbu Nkosi must be itching to get out there this weekend. Itching for it. What a time to be able to step into the green and gold to start a match. Semi-final time. Anything can happen in the World Cup, Let's see if we can make it through to the final. What an exciting weekend of rugby. It is time for the World Cup semi-finals. It only comes once every 4 years. Is it our time again? Well, the Springboks, we've done so well to get here. Let's go all the way. They're ready to go. Nothing's going to stop us.